Welcome to the Case Nuts and Bolts training for January 2022. This is a very important training that has a lot of information and detail, so please set aside other work, close your laptops, and avoid that urge to multitask with email or other work. There are several changes from the last case test, such as no orange sheets and a math constructed response on paper. By the end of this training, you're going to know everything you need for case testing, and you'll have an opportunity to ask questions at the end. So let's go. This menu has links to help you find exactly what you're looking for in this slide deck. At the top right corner of each slide is a link that'll bring you right back to this menu. So for instance, if I click on good faith effort, it takes me all the way to the end to the good faith effort slide. And then in the top right, you'll see this link that'll take you right back to the instructions menu. Ms. Chapin will be our help desk dispatcher. She's the only call that you'll need to make during testing to get help with a restroom break, a discipline issue, or a Chromebook that won't work. When you call, please be brief and get straight to the point. She'll call out on the radio to the right person to help you. The more brief you can be, the faster she'll be able to hang up the phone and answer someone else's call. And case is treated just like K-Prep. So please do not allow students out of the room for any reason, such as the restroom, without an escort. If a student needs to use the restroom, we need to send an escort. So don't allow students to leave your room for any reason during testing unless they are escorted by an adult. We will have admin and support in the hallways as well. Here's the schedule for our 2 days of testing, as well as makeup testing days. So why this schedule? Our assessment committee explored a number of schedule possibilities, and this schedule helps us achieve a balance of instructional time across class periods and a balance of planning time. Students will report to advisory in the morning for attendance and to receive appointment cards if any of your students will head to an accommodation appointment location instead of their first period. This will be different than previous testing. This time, students will receive their appointment cards from their advisory teacher, and then when we release over the PA, students will either go to their appointment location if they have an appointment card, or they will report to their first period teacher. So what will your role be? If you click on this link on the slide, it'll take you to this doc. And over here in green are all of our teachers who are providing accommodations. In the center are all of our support staff in the yellow. And then over here in the blue are all of our first period teachers in regular testing. And for those teachers, please be sure to look closely at any of these notes over here in this section. All right, we will follow this lunch schedule during fifth period on both days of testing, so please check your times. And there are two important notes. Eighth grade teachers or teachers with fifth period plan will assist with lunch supervision. Please see the teacher lunch supervision schedule in blue on this slide for both days of testing. Seventh grade teachers, when all students are released from testing over the PA by 11:04, seventh grade students will go straight to the cafeteria. At the end of each grade level lunchtime, admin will release all students from the cafeteria at the same time to return to their fifth period classes. This means that teachers do not need to pick up students from the cafeteria during any of the lunch times. All students will log into Mastery Connect through Clever to take each section of the test. This table has the breakdown of the amount of time the teacher should allow for each test and section. The test will not automatically stop for students. Teachers will need to monitor the time, have students stop testing, and have them submit their test. Every grade level will have a Part A, Part B, as well as a computer, not paper, constructed response for ELA on the first day of testing, and a Part A and Part B math on the second day of testing. The math test will be the one that students will write their math constructed responses on paper on day 2 of testing. Students must use the paper response form provided for the math constructed responses, not on the computer. More specific instructions on how to have students log into their tests will be shared when we get to the Mastery Connect set instructions on one of the lower slides. Here's a quick overview. Students will complete their constructed responses on the computer for reading on the first day. Remind them that the reading constructed response box is expandable. The second day of testing in math will include a handwritten math constructed response on paper. Make sure that students use the constructed response paper in your testing materials and remind them to complete the student information on the form. After they are finished, please organize all of your math constructed responses by math teacher and class period before paper clipping them together and placing them in your testing envelope. After testing is complete on day 2, you'll return all of your testing materials, your testing envelope, your good faith effort sheet, and your paper clipped math constructed responses to the box outside of Mr. K's office. If we have a snow or an NTI day, we will not test case virtually. We have done that in the past. We will not if we have a snow or NTI day. We would move a day if we had to Friday the 21st, and then the district would adjust our testing window. I will post information for parents and students on the school website and on social media on Friday the 14th. Then we'd like teachers to remind students of expectations during 7th period on Friday the 14th. Teachers with first period classes, be sure to pick up your testing materials from your mailbox before your advisory. That'll include your paper, your TAM, which is your testing administration manual with instructions and scripts. You can actually click on the link on this slide to the TAM and the reference, the math 7-8 math reference sheet, but those will also be paper copies in your testing materials. You'll have pencils, rosters, schedules on the backside of the TAM, and appointment cards to use for your students who receive accommodations. We tried to make sure that this time during testing, we provided some more paper copies and paper versions of things to help our teachers and make more things available in your testing envelope. You will take attendance with your advisory class and hand out appointment cards during your advisory before we release students to first period over the PA. Hopefully around 7:50. Students will go directly to their accommodation appointment location when we release from advisory, or they will go to their first period teacher if they don't have an appointment card. 1/3 of all Jones students will have appointment cards. First period teachers with a plan or a PLC, that means collaborative special ed teachers, EL teachers, and paras too, will assist with accommodation locations. Check the previous slide with the staff roles link. Those providing accommodations will pick up your materials and testing envelope in the library, not from your mailbox. Be sure to look at the accommodations for the students you're testing so that you have the right materials, such as headphones, if the student has a digital reader, which would happen on their computer, or a handheld computer, handheld calculator. There are a very small number of students who receive a handheld calculator, but please look at the accommodations that. Please look at the accommodations that your students receive, so that you make sure that you have all the materials that you need. If you would forget something, you just reach out to the help desk dispatcher, and we would make sure that we get it to you. But try to make sure that you have everything. If a student doesn't show up to your accommodation group, please check their attendance in Infinite Campus. Call their first period teacher or call Miss Chapin, our help desk dispatcher, so that we can help locate them. This is important for our accommodation location proctors. On day 1 of testing for Part B, if you have students with extended time, you will have to make a judgment call on time, because we may not have, if a student takes their full amount of extended time, we may not have time for them to complete both parts A and B. You'll have to make a judgment call. If you believe any students will not complete Part B based on the amount of time that they took for Part A, don't start the Part B section on the first day, the reading. They just simply wouldn't take it, and we would add that student to our makeup testing. All right, here are some simple instructions for the start and end of testing. No orange sheets. Ms. Watson is going to be working with our English and math teachers at the conclusion of testing to assemble our makeup list. You'll wait for a PA announcement to begin testing in first period. And then after we start testing, you're going to allow a very brief 5-minute stretch break in your classroom between tests. And then when you're finished testing, you'll send an email to your lead using the Google Doc link on this slide. Now you'll send a message to your lead. The leads will actually access this Google Doc to enter the teachers who have completed testing within their department. So at the end of testing on day 2, you'll then return all of your testing materials to Mr. K in a testing box outside of my office. And then remember to paperclip your organized math constructive response forms in your testing envelope. Only use graph paper for math testing. Please don't use the graph paper for scratch paper on day 1. We only want you using the graph paper during the math testing. Line paper is for scratch paper. What about students who arrive late? Students who arrive late should go to the large side of the cafeteria. Miss Cravens and Miss Ward will keep them there and try to get them added into classes to take part B if possible. As mentioned moments ago, you should notify your lead when you're finished testing so that they can add your name to this Google Doc. Only the leads listed on this slide can access this doc to mark teachers as they complete testing. Can you make changes to your testing roster? Accommodation rosters cannot be changed. They are static because they're like accommodation groups. It's difficult to move students around. If teachers are on a family agree to send a student, this is in regular first period classes. If a couple teachers agree to send a student to another classroom to test, I'm okay with that. Maybe a teacher has good rapport with that student, they can do that. You just need to let me know that you're going to do it, and then simply send that student to the other first period teacher. Calculators will be available within the test when students are allowed to use them. There's a Desmos calculator link on this slide for emergency use. It's what they are accustomed to in math classes. It's easy to find by Googling Desmos calculator. There is a link to it on this slide. If an accommodation teacher has a student who has a handheld calculator accommodation, they may sign one out for Miss Watson. What about cell phones and smartwatches? They should be in students' jetpacks. Teachers shouldn't use cell phones themselves and should be up and moving around during testing. We want to treat CASE just like K-Prep, so teachers, please don't use your cell phones. Be up moving around, and students should not have cell phones or smartwatches. They should put those in their jetpacks. What can students do when they finish testing? I know it's a challenge when students finish testing, but please follow these instructions during the testing time. Make sure that you just direct students to silently test and revise answers in their current testing section. They cannot read, draw, talk. We got to maintain a nice, quiet testing time. Even if a student finishes, as long as you have other students who are testing, they have to be silent. Now, after all parts of the test are finished, they can work on assignments for other classes. Read. We've got a link there to some quiet activities. They can't use their computer for games. It takes the bandwidth, and the entire school is going to be using computers, so we got to maintain that bandwidth. We can't do movies or play loud games. Got to make sure that we keep things as quiet as possible. All right, you will use GoGuardian to monitor screens. However, do not use block mode or block sites, and please turn off scenes except first period until 12:45. This helps to ensure that a student with extended time doesn't accidentally get blocked by a teacher, because we could finish testing by 11:04 to release to lunch, but still have some students around the building who haven't finished testing yet. We would direct those students to come to the library and then find a place for them to finish their testing with that extended time. So please make sure that you turn off those scenes except for your first period until 12:45. And this is what that screen looks like in GoGuardian when you when you're in there creating scenes and messing with the scenes. All right, you're going to direct students. This is the Mastery Connect instructions for the test. You're going to direct students to the district programs dashboard under BCS bookmarks, and then they will log in to Mastery Connect using Clever. Students will see assessments. And then these are the assessment titles in Mastery Connect. It's important to help students click on the correct test, as teachers sometimes add other Mastery Connect classroom assessments that students may also see. Have students click Start Assessment. There's no code needed, but if a student receives a reader accommodation, this will be available in the test and they will need earbuds. Again, help students look carefully to click on the correct assessment. When they're finished, they will need to click Finish and Submit. Here's the link to the good faith checklist everyone will use. You'll have paper copies in your testing or a paper copy in your testing materials. Please review the criteria on the good faith effort checklist and also discuss that criteria with students ahead of time. You'll fill it out for all of your students for both days, and then you'll submit it to me, Mr. K, at the end of the second day of testing when you place your materials in the testing box outside my office. Good faith effort will be considered for attendance at our Term 3 pep rally. And finally, please use this link to provide feedback and ask questions. I'll reply to all questions as quickly as I can and get back to you. Of course, I'll be in PLCs on Friday the 14th to help answer questions after this video is complete. Happy case testing.